Hello, welcome to Yogateket. My name is Guy Powiecki, and for today's tutorial we are looking at kapalabhati. Kapalabhati means the shining skull or shining skull. Kapala is your skull and bhati means to shine. And within pranayama, this is one of the most important exercises that we learn. And if we're speaking esoterically, so much around pranayama is this idea of channelizing energy and the awakening of kundalini. And kundalini, which is this dormant energy, is based in the lower abdomen, kind of pelvic floor, perineum area. And kapalabhati, we're doing quite a quick, short breath, and it involves a pumping of the abdomen, and it creates a lot of stimulation to this area. And you know, in terms of traditional explanations, they spoke in terms of energy and kundalini and nadis, which are these energy channels running throughout the body. What we now know from a scientific explanation is that there's a massive nerve plexus in the sacrum. The sacrum's this big muscle sort of at the base of the spine. And this nerve plexus means that this is an area where a lot of nerves exit from the spinal column. And again, there's this, I've mentioned it on one of the other tutorials, but there's this sympathetic part of the nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, and then the parasympathetic part of the nervous system. And the sympathetic part is to do with fight or flight when we're in danger or in stress, and the parasympathetic part is when we're resting, relaxing, and it's the calming part of the nervous system. And this bunch of nerves that come out of the spine in the sacrum are mainly to do with the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's the calming part of the nervous system. So by having this rhythmic movement down here, we're stimulating that. It's also very helpful for the lungs. It's sort of expelling impurities and expelling toxins or things out of the lungs. It's a sort of short, sharp exhalation. And they talk about it, you know, the actual name being kapalabhati, shining skull. They talk about it having this very cleansing, clearing effect on the prefrontal cortex of the brain, and also for removing excess mucus out of the respiratory system, out of the nose. So a hugely important pranayama, both from a physiological perspective, or a hugely important pranayama exercise from a physiological perspective, and also from an energetic perspective. And if you are growing and developing in pranayama, this technique is one of the most necessary to develop some skill with. And I've done quite a lot of talking around it. I'll now actually just demonstrate the technique, and then maybe some of what I was saying will make more sense, and then I'll talk again. So the things to look out for is that we're controlling the exercise from the lower abdomen, where we're using our muscles here, and we're trying to stay free in the upper abdomen. And the final pump is long. You're sort of drawing out the exhalation. And it's a difference in kapalabhati to hyperventilation. In hyperventilating, there would be an active inhalation and an active exhalation. So I'll just demonstrate what that would be like. And maybe you can hear there's a different sound quality, there's a different texture to it. And it's not what we're doing in kapalabhati. We're having that active exhalation, and then there's actually a passive inhalation. So that means you're expelling the air on the exhalation, but then just letting the inhalation happen. Just happens by itself. So and hopefully you can see that I'm controlling the pump from this lower part of the abdomen, staying relatively free and relaxed in this upper abdomen. And again, you know, I was speaking about the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system, which is more to do with fight or flight when we're in danger and stimulated by stress, that has more activity in this upper abdomen area. And actually it's a part of the body where we hold a lot of tension, where we hold a lot of our emotional history. You know, when we get stressed, we get tight in this area, in this solar plexus area. And so we don't want to tighten that more. We don't want to make it more tense. We want to try to keep that fairly soft and relaxed and work more in this parasympathetic part of the body, this area which has more of a stimulation towards the parasympathetic nervous system. And again, I spoke in Agnisara that you can use your hands as a guide to help you get some more awareness or intelligence into the area. And again, kapalabhati is a very good exercise for doing that as well. So I'll just demonstrate what it would be like if I was using my hands. It's really the same thing, but you're just feeling what's going on more. And then that last exhalation is long. You're drawing it out, trying to find a little bit of engagement under the lower abdomen, and then beginning an inhale. And kapalabhati, it's much better at the start to work on technique rather than speed. And maybe at the start, your pumps are actually quite slow and quite soft, and you're giving yourself time to let the abdomen relax in between each one. So, you know, when you're a beginner, maybe it will look something more like just really giving the abdomen time to come out, relax, release in between each pump, and trying to feel that you're controlling the pump from this lower abdomen area, not getting sort of tense or activating the upper abdomen area. And again, paying attention to this idea of the exhalation is active and then the inhalation is passive. So you're expelling the air. It's almost like a sneeze, you know, a sort of sneeze sound. And then the inhalation just happens by itself. And at the start, working much more on quality, technique, and being relaxed in it, maybe going quite slowly with the exercise. As you feel that you're getting more proficient with it, more comfortable, you can start to speed it up. But just remembering that everything we're doing in pranayama is supposed to have a calming effect on our nervous system. And just trying to feel that you're still in that state where it's being calm. It's not becoming sort of tense or hard or coming into a sort of hyperventilation breath. And there's a lot of technique involved in this one, and there's a lot of things to think about. So it could take, maybe you're practicing some time on your own, and then maybe you might want to come back to this tutorial and just watch it again and see if there's anything else that you pick up or that makes sense for you. And when you are starting to feel more comfortable with it, and if you're someone who's used to working with the bandhas, we talk about the bandhas in yoga quite a lot, Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha primarily, down in this lower abdomen area. And Mula Bandha it's roughly equivalent to the pelvic floor. And if you are comfortable with using your pelvic floor, as you're performing this pump, you can actually keep a a soft engagement of your mula bandha, of your pelvic floor while you're doing the pumping. And again, it's this idea that we're sending energy up. We're sending energy up the central channel of the spine. And so having this mula bandha engagement helps send it upwards. If none of that means anything to you, and you've not heard about bandhas, or you're not used to working with your pelvic floor, then don't worry about that. Just focus more that you're controlling the pump from this lower abdomen area. And you can even think about with each pump that actually there's a slight contraction and relaxation of the anus, of that muscle that's in the base down here. And it's for a woman maybe also some of the vaginal muscles, but it's this idea that you're contracting here and sending energy upwards. But to start with, focusing on the pump, focusing on the release, and being free in this area. So, as I said, it's a lot to think about with kapalabhati, and it takes time, it takes practice, and it takes learning about it in your own body. But controlling from here, staying free here, not going into hyperventilation, maybe slight engagement of the pelvic floor. And I'll just demonstrate one last time. This would be quite a slow pump at the start, maybe when you're learning. And just try to look out for these things that I spoke about. Softness here, engagement here. I just thought for most of the time I've been doing it with my eyes open, but obviously when you're practicing this yourself at home, you would have your eyes closed. But because I've been looking into the camera, I've been doing that. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and please take the time to work with kapalabhati, take the time to try to develop this for yourself. It's a hugely beneficial and a hugely important exercise. Thank you, and see you again.